President Trump is creating the Gaza Peace Committee to address the security vacuum in Gaza after the Israel-Hamas war. When President Trump was asked if the Gaza Peace Committee should replace the United Nations, he said it's possible, and now events are disrupting the current international order. Today, let's take a closer look at this topic. Let's get right into it. First, I'll go over the context in which this statement was made. On January 20th, President Trump held a White House press conference for his second term's first anniversary. At the event, he discussed the Peace Committee, promoted as crucial in Phase 2 of the Gaza Strip Peace Initiative. He said he personally leads the committee and voiced dissatisfaction with the United Nations. President Trump said that if the United Nations had played a more active role, there would have been no need for such a committee. He stated that during the process of stopping and resolving several wars, the United Nations has never provided any real help. This comment attracted extra attention since foreign media were already speculating that President Trump wanted to turn the Gaza Peace Committee into an international conflict resolution body to replace the United Nations. When asked if the Peace Committee was meant to replace the United Nations, he said it could, leaving the option open. He went on to say that the United Nations has not been of much practical help, but he still sees great potential in the organization, making it clear that this potential has never truly been realized. First, let's see what the Gaza Peace Committee actually does before looking closer. The Gaza Strip has been devastated by Israel, leaving it without a long-term governing system. This raises ongoing questions about who will govern Gaza and how reconstruction funds will be obtained. Although the United Nations should have taken responsibility, it has only expressed concern, leading to criticism of its ineffectiveness. That's when President Trump stepped in. President Trump judged that a new international organization was needed to establish the post-war order in the Gaza Strip, separate from the existing United Nations system, and so he established something called the Gaza Peace Committee. This Gaza Peace Committee is primarily responsible for the reconstruction of Gaza and post-war order issues. He plans to expand its role to more conflict areas, aiming to make it a global conflict management organization if possible. But the problem is that there are concerns that this Gaza Peace Committee might be trying to replace the existing role of the United Nations, according to a report obtained by the Financial Times. Section 4 stated the Gaza Peace Committee is an international group promoting stability and sustainable peace in conflict or at-risk areas through legitimate governance. Actually, at first glance, it might seem okay. Replacing or bypassing the United Nations could upend the current international order, causing major controversy and destabilizing its foundation. Above all, former President Trump will serve as the first chairperson. It's known that the draft charter gives significant authority to the chairperson, so there are even concerns that it could be used as a personal political tool for President Trump. Here's what that means. Peace Committee decisions require a majority of member countries present and Chairperson Trump's approval. And President Trump can also adopt resolutions or various guidelines on behalf of the entire committee by himself, even without a committee vote. Also, the chairperson cannot be replaced. President Trump will be chairperson for life. Countries may join only by United States invitation and must pay $1 billion, about 1.4 trillion won. Some criticize that allowing countries to become permanent executive members of the Gaza Peace Committee is just a way to make money from membership fees. For example, in Korea, you can only join by invitation. President Trump has confirmed inviting Korea to join the Gaza Peace Committee. Invitations were sent to about 60 countries, including Korea. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea recently received the invitation and stated that they would need to comprehensively consider which countries will participate before deciding whether to join. They said they need time to review the invitation and are still considering. The problem is the United Kingdom, a traditional ally, refused to participate, and France also declined. Let's look at it step by step. Keir Starmer, United Kingdom Prime Minister, said they won't join a peace committee with a high fee that includes President Putin. The United Kingdom has stated it does not want to be part of a committee with Russia and Belarus as members. France has already refused to join the Peace Committee. President Trump threatened President Macron with a 200% tariff on French wine if France didn't participate. Israel also expressed dissatisfaction with the list of potential member countries and showed an opposing view. In contrast, Russia and Belarus showed a completely different reaction. After the Ukraine war, both countries were effectively pushed out of the main stage as they faced sanctions and diplomatic isolation from the international community at the same time. Their influence in international organizations like the United Nations has weakened, and their speaking rights have been increasingly limited in meetings and consultative bodies. Russia and Belarus may see the Gaza Peace Committee, led by President Trump, as a potential new solution. This is because they can participate as members of an international conflict management organization without going through the existing framework of the United Nations. And, depending on the situation, they can take a seat at the table of international politics under the pretext of peace and stability. For Russia, this committee is seen positively as it offers a symbolic way to challenge the Western-led international order. They also expect to restore a direct channel with the United States via President Trump. Belarus is reacting more openly, as participation helps boost its regime's legitimacy amid heavy international isolation. Belarus promptly expressed interest and took steps to raise its profile. In the end, the Gaza Peace Committee is causing further controversy because it is being seen as a new stage for countries like Russia and Belarus to return to the international community and as a channel to bypass the existing sanction system. Many view the Gaza Peace Committee as a product of President Trump's distinctive leadership, not just traditional foreign policy. President Trump has called the United Nations and other multilateral systems incompetent and inefficient, criticizing them as limiting America's interests and avoiding responsibility. The Gaza Peace Committee, which emerged from this perception, is closer to the idea of having a strong decision-making center and clearly demonstrating its results, rather than relying on a method where multiple countries agree and coordinate. In particular, the fact that he personally took on the role of committee chairman is highly symbolic. This also sends the message that he, rather than abstract international organizations, is now at the center of solving the problems of the international community. President Trump values the visibility of results over the legitimacy of the process. He wants to show if the war has ended, order is stable, and reconstruction has started, clearly tying these successes to his leadership. In the United Nations, achievements aren't credited to individuals, but in the Gaza Peace Committee, all outcomes are tied to President Trump's decisions. This plan is seen more as a political move to present President Trump as a global conflict solver, rather than an effort to manage peace in the Gaza Strip. Another key point is its link to domestic politics. President Trump must keep proving to United States supporters that he is disrupting the international order and asserting America's leadership. The Gaza Peace Committee symbolizes the United States president reshaping world order without using many American taxes or troops. Criticizing the United Nations is a common narrative among President Trump's core supporters. There is a convincing interpretation that the committee is functioning as a stage to test Trump's worldview and governing philosophy on the international stage, going beyond just solving the Gaza issue. At the same time, concerns are rapidly growing in the international community. If the Gaza Peace Committee replaces or bypasses the United Nations, it could undermine the post-war international order, not just affect the region. The United Nations has issues, but since World War II, it has helped manage major power conflicts and uphold basic rules. Warnings say creating a new system led by one country, especially dominated by one person, could weaken the international consensus built over decades. Some say the current situation is similar to how the League of Nations lost influence and collapsed after World War I. The League of Nations, though calling itself a peacekeeping group, lost influence to major powers' interests and actions, which led to a larger war. This history seems to echo the current situation. The part that is particularly pointed out as a problem is not a scenario where the United Nations is completely dismantled, but rather a situation where a Trump-style peace committee and the existing United Nations system exist at the same time. If a dual international order forms, any dispute will inevitably cause confusion over which organization's decision is more legitimate. Some issues will go to the United Nations, others to the peace committee, potentially shaking international norms. Parties in disputes will seek organizations likely to favor them, causing international law and collective agreements to lose influence. In diplomatic circles, some worry this could cause order shopping, where countries select international organizations like choosing a court. If this structure becomes entrenched, international disputes will likely be resolved by power and influence, not universal rules. Countries near powerful nations or leaders may be protected, while others face exclusion or pressure, raising insecurity. In the end, the controversy over the Gaza Peace Committee is not just an issue surrounding a single organization, but is being seen as a signal questioning how the international order, which has been maintained with difficulty since the war, will be reorganized in the future. Share your thoughts on the current situation in the comments. Thanks for watching.